Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, Your Average Logical Thinker. I appreciate you being here. I am going to show the clip of the comedian Monique's oldest son giving his account of his relationship with his mother, or at least the status of, in a moment. But before I do that, I'm just going to give you a quick little snippet of my thoughts. I first want to say that I applaud this young man for, number one, standing in his truth. He's standing on business. And number two, for being as respectful as he possibly could. I have never seen a celebrity child or anybody online talk about a relationship that they've had with their parent in a more respectful way. So shout out to that young man for going online and telling his truth in the most respectful way. At the end of the day, he is still honoring his mother because he never called her out of her name, and he just spoke his truth, you know, and that's something that I could truly appreciate. And I hope that other youngins out here can take a page out of his book. And although you may have strife with your parents, there is a proper way to do it. Now, this man spoke about his lack of a relationship with his mother, things that happened in his childhood, and how his mother's assistant, aka his aunt, pretty much was a better mom to him than she ever could be. It's unfortunate, you know, and he even states that, you know, it's really not that big of a deal. He understands she was in the spotlight, she was a celebrity, and so there were certain things that he couldn't, that she wasn't able to give him. And I think that's very commendable of him, that he's very understanding of that lifestyle. But then he also goes on to talk about how he felt like he was a burden, you know? What I do want to say, though, is that no parent's not perfect, right? As a matter of fact, kids are not perfect. We all have things that we can work on. However, adult children only need two things from their parents when they grow up and they realize that this life is not right. The only two things that these children want from their parents is, number one, take accountability. All you have to do is admit that you weren't there for me in this way, and then admit what you've done, take accountability, apologize, and then show changed behavior. That's all kids want, you know? My mother wasn't the best mom. My mom was on and off of drugs for a long time while I was a kid, and even into my adult age. And I was able to forgive and move on from the hurt that my mom caused because my mom apologized for those things. She knew she effed up, and my mom apologized. She would tell me, she would talk to me. I have all kind of letters. Actually, I had a letter from her that I just recently opened up. My mom's been dead. It'll be 4 years this week. It is the anniversary of my mom's death. May she rest in heaven. I found an envelope with a trinket. My mom used to always send me earrings or a bracelet or something like that, always silver most of the time. I opened it up and it had a silver chain in there, and it was her yet again apologizing for something, you know. So my mom always did, you know, at some point would take accountability. You know, when I got to a point where I'm done, you know, then she would wisen up and be like, dang, you know what I'm saying? And then eventually her attitude, and then eventually she would come around to improving her behavior, things like that, lying less or whatever. You know, there was changed behavior. But out of all of that, I was still blessed. God still blessed me with everything that I had. And so that made it so much more easy for me to forgive because I was blessed. I had everything that I needed. God had taken care of me. So there was no reason for me to harbor any ill feelings towards my mom because I'm doing good. What is it going to do me to harbor emotions and strife against my parents when in the end of the day, I'm okay, you know? So that was one way that I was able to get over, you know, things that I felt needed retribution, was just thinking about all of the good things that came out of me working hard and doing the things that I had to in order to, I was able to forgive easier because of all of the blessings that God has given me. It even talks about it in the Bible, honor thy mother and thy father. And regardless of what they did or didn't do, I still tried my darndest to honor their position as my parents because God gave me to them for a reason. I hope one day that Monique will be the bigger person because she's already big as hell. She should be the bigger person and go to her son and make that right. Yes, you may have 3 other children, and that's just nothing but God's grace and mercy giving you another chance to get it right. And it looks like she's doing a bang up job with these last 3 children, but you still have one that you created, your firstborn. And I pray that Monique gets it together and reaches out to her son and tries to make it right, admits her wrongs, and then makes a concerted effort to be a mom. Because I'm going to tell you one thing, I don't care how old you get, you always, 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 always need your mom. You always need your mom. There's just something about a mother's love that can't be replaced. I have a couple women in my life that say, your mom's no longer here, so I'm trying my best to step in. No, honey, don't. Number one, I'm grown. I'm good. Because the love that you show is appreciated, but it's nothing like my mom's. As crazy as she was at times, as irrational as she was at times, as narcissistic as she was at times, as needy as she was at times, that was my mama. She can never be replaced. I was watching a YouTube video, and a lady was mentioning that she did some research on World War II and the Vietnam War. And she was stating that a lot of the soldiers, when they, as big and strong as they were, when they knew they weren't going to make it, the one thing that their battle buddies recalled was all of them, if not most, all of them cried out for their mothers while dying. Tell my mama I love her, and she means the world to me. Last words about a mama. That's how strong a mother's love is. I hope Monique can humble herself enough, because Monique's got a lot of pride and ego. She's puffed up a lot, and she feels like she's in the right about a lot of things, which she may be. But when it comes to the dynamics of her and her child, I believe it is absolutely the parent's responsibility. Reach out, be the bigger person, and make things right. I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all think.
Hi, I am Shalon. I am a stand-up comedian, Monique's oldest son. I guess I felt the need to make this video to just provide some context into this false narrative about her praying to the universe and her to reconcile our relationship or whatever the hell it is. I wrote it all down so that way I don't go all over the place and get emotional or anything like that. So I'm going to talk like I'm reading a script, but it's just going to help me kind of stay together. To address the Club Shay interview that she did, where she states that she prays to the universe in regards to reconciling our relationship, as I stated, is odd. My mother and I both know that that is a very false narrative, and I would like to free her of having to continue telling that lie. Faith without work is dead, and neither one of us cares to put forth any effort to reconcile with the other. We are separate, as she put it, because she doesn't care to be my mother any more than I care to be her son. Neither one of us has had the desire to reach out to the other in a very long time, and I don't think that either of us anticipates that feeling ever returning. Speaking with my mother directly, in my experience, will either lead to some odd newfound moment of clarity in regards to how she was as my mother, or she retreats back to daddy to move forward with a conversation, and I'm tired of hearing my mother's truths. Newsflash, I'm not sure if people know, but standing in your truth doesn't make you noble. I'm not sure if people are aware of that, but responding this way, I feel as though it allows me to say my piece uninterrupted. To those wondering, well, why say something now? Call it a form of therapy for me, I suppose. But when her daddy had intentionally stated that they have 3 sons, but his wife is on the internet talking about the 4th son in a video that has millions of views, that rubbed me the wrong way. But anyway, to inform a child that you are not interested in being a mother at a time when that kid is the only kid that has the potential to lead a child to believe that you are not interested in them specifically. But to take it a step further, you also admit, my mother had also admitted to me that she didn't do the best job that she could do, which would also make one begin to question, all of your past decisions and prior emotional interactions. But to be completely honest and fair, those were things that I was willing to get over. Nobody's perfect, we're all human, but my mother showed a clear lack of humility, compassion, and consideration when taking any level of accountability for those things. My mother does a fantastic job of acknowledging a lot of things, but she doesn't take accountability very well, and anything that she may take true accountability for, it's only at her convenience, in my experience. But if I had to guess, though, her interest in being a mother probably started around the time that she married her daddy and had his children. But that interest, obviously seemed one-sided, and as it should have been. By that time, I'm in my late teens, so to some degree, the the neglect becomes easier to hide or validate, I guess you could say. There are now 2 baby boys in the house, that require attention. But still, during that time, however, I still watched her enjoy the love and admiration of total strangers more than my own. To this very day, my mother has never expressed to me when, if ever, she became interested in me as her son. That did lead me down a path of questioning my self-worth and struggling to understand the value of a mother in a child's life. In the interview, she also states that she gave me an apology. But an apology to a son from a mother that consciously showed no interest in him holds no weight. There are still women to this day that my mother will give credit to for being more of a mother to me than she ever could. Her assistant, my cousin, being one of them. Every time, though, that my mother would state that she was right here whenever I was ready, that ideology still blows my mind today, that a person could openly admit to being an uninterested, not put my best foot forward type of parent, and be so self-centered that they still express to the kid, you have to come to me when you're ready. You got to come to me for us to make this right. Okay. But I'm not sure what my mother could possibly think that she has shown me in the past or have for me now that's not money, goodness gracious, that would make me want to come to her or whatever those feelings are supposed to be. A mother is supposed to be the first woman that a boy falls in love with. I loved my mother very much, but my mother loved things more than she loved me, and she would validate her love for me by giving me things and would proceed to call me ungrateful or inconsiderate if said things did not have the desired effect. I couldn't imagine what it's like to be her, though, to ask God for what you want, and then he gives you what you need, though, only for you to ignore it and have the audacity to ask God for something else. And I'm glad I don't, I'm glad I didn't do that. And when he told you no, you went to the universe instead. By no means, though, do I want to give off any type of an impression that I am a victim of anything. That is not the case. As you can see, I'm smiling from ear to ear. I'm alive. I'm happy. I'm a dad. I'm healthy, I think. I drink a lot of water. I'm getting over a cold now. I still have my days just like everybody else. And, there were a few things that she did teach me along the way. I did learn how not to love from my mother. I also learned to make sure that I never lose so much of who I am that I have to validate it through another person. And though I feel as though, in hindsight, I think she did it reluctantly, I do appreciate my mother, for showing me what the top of the mountain looks like. You know what I'm saying? It did give me perspective on what hard work and dedication can get you, but I don't want something like that at the cost of giving up something that I created. I don't want it that bad. And speaking of creations, I genuinely, truly, I really did want my mother to have a relationship with my daughter. I even fought through those intrusive thoughts that were, if she wasn't interested in you, what makes you think she's going to be interested in your kid? But it took my mother no time at all to prove that those intrusive thoughts were correct. But what I can say, good for her, the universe did, bless her with 3 other sons. Bless her with 3 other sons. And God willing, I'm sure that one of them, all 3 of them are adults now. So I'm sure that one of them, God willing, if not all 3 of them, will make her the grandmother that she wants to be. I still look forward, to that moment for her. But overall, when it comes to the boys, though, I am happy that whenever they do hear me talk, sorry, my phone did something weird, but whenever they hear me talk, they don't know what it is. They can't relate to what it is that I'm saying. My experience with my mother is not their experience with our mother. So my prayer for her and them is that they continue to see her the way that they see her now. I do also want to make sure that I say thank you to my mother for giving me life. Without that moment in time, I wouldn't have had my little one. But outside of that moment, there isn't anything that either of us has to offer the other. In my opinion, it's a waste of God's time and the universe's time for praying for something that you were not willing to put forth any effort to obtain. Putting the work into becoming Monique is more important to my mother than being my mother. And I do not believe that it was never about her being there and waiting for me, but it was supposed to be about me being there and waiting for her. My mother's value had reached such a low point in my life that I no longer found it necessary to either want to wait for her or even go to her. But like I said, man, I'm super grateful that she has the opportunity to do it all over again. I'm happy for her. I hope the Cat Williams tour goes well. But, the narrative that she prays for us to reconcile is a false narrative. It's not real, not appreciated if she stops saying stuff like that.